If you're reading this right now, don't scroll, don't second guess. This is not just another message. This is your confirmation. This moment is sacred. You didn't stumble here by chance. You were led. There's a frequency in this message your soul has been searching for, and now it has found you. Because you, chosen one, are shifting. You're shedding the layers that were never yours. You're no longer chasing what was never meant to run from you in the first place. You're not here to beg. You're not here to perform. You're here to remember. There's something powerful waking up inside of you, and it's not new. It's ancient. It's the real you. And once that part of you rises, everything changes. Because when you stop chasing and start being, you become a force the world can't ignore. That's what this message is about. Not performance, not perfection, presence. The real you is magnetic. The real you doesn't have to prove anything. The real you is the answer to prayers your ancestors whispered. And now, this is your time to reclaim that truth. Fully, loudly, unapologetically. Before we dive in, make this declaration. Type 55 in the comments if you feel this. That number isn't just digits, it's divine language. It tells the heavens, I'm awake, I'm ready, I'm aligned. And when you speak it with faith, you activate something deeper. This isn't just a video, it's a mirror, it's a blueprint, it's an energetic shift. So lock in, eliminate the noise. Let your spirit receive every word like it was written just for you, because it was. Only the truly called will stay, and those who do, they won't just be inspired, they'll be activated. Don't just watch, be part of the journey. Hit subscribe now and step into your purpose. The best is yet to come. If you feel the abundance of divine love filling your heart, now is the perfect time to share it. By clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $100 or more, you can help spread God's blessings far and wide. Your offering will not only touch your own life, but also reach countless souls through this platform. Each of you holds a sacred place in God's magnificent plan, and your generosity will be the answer to many prayers. Take action now. Share your blessings to honor His kingdom, for you were created to accomplish even greater works through His loving hands. May God's grace be with you. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't show up in your hands or your feet, but in your spirit. It's not from working too many hours or running too many errands. No, this tired runs deeper. It's the kind of tired that settles into your chest, into your mind, into your heart. It's the fatigue that comes not from living, but from proving. And it's time you laid it down. See, you weren't born carrying this weight. It didn't start with you. It was handed to you little by little. Every time you were made to feel like love had to be earned. Every time your worth depended on your performance. Every time someone praised you more for being silent than for being true. That's when the chase began. You didn't even realize it at first. You thought you were just being helpful, being kind, being easy to love. But somewhere along the way, being agreeable started costing you your voice. Being polite meant staying small. Being accepted meant being edited. You stopped asking if it felt right. You just kept running. But I came to tell you something today. God never called you to be exhausted by your own existence. You were created to walk in freedom, not performance. You were made to carry peace, not pressure. That tiredness you feel in your soul, that's not laziness. That's not weakness. That's your spirit begging to come home. Begging to stop running, to stop chasing, to stop bending, just to be seen. Because the truth is, no amount of applause can fill the space where authenticity belongs. You've shown up. You've smiled. You've said yes when everything in you whispered no. You've worn the mask, played the part, kept the peace, and somehow you're still left feeling disconnected. Why? Because pretending is a lonely place. It may win you approval, but it never wins you peace. The more you stretch yourself to become what someone else wants, the more you shrink away from who God made you to be. And here's the part we don't like to admit. Chasing doesn't bring closeness. It creates distance. It pushes the very things we're longing for, love, acceptance, security, further out of reach. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Because the energy behind the chase is lack. It's fear. It says, I'm not enough unless I earn it. But child of God, hear me. You are already enough. You don't have to run after what's already assigned to you. What if today was the day you stopped striving and started receiving? What if today you said, I am enough as I am, without the show, without the smile I don't feel, without the hustle? What if today you stood still long enough to feel your own presence and trust that it is worthy? Let them misunderstand you. Let them walk away if they must. But don't abandon yourself to keep people who never saw the real you in the first place. Because the truth is, when you finally come back home to yourself, the things that truly belong to you will come too. Peace, joy, clarity, and yes, even the right people. Not because you chased them, but because your truth called them. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not too late. You're just tired of running a race God never told you to enter. And that's a holy tired. That's the kind of tired that means it's time to rise differently. And when you do, you won't have to chase a thing, because everything aligned with your truth will begin to recognize you. And it will come. Others feel it too. Not in what you say, but in the tension behind it. Even when you show up perfectly, something is missing. You sense it when they withdraw, when your effort feels invisible, when what you hoped would fulfill you leaves you emptier than before. That cycle of giving too much and receiving too little has played on repeat. But now, something in you is changing. The exhaustion has sharpened your awareness. The ache has become a compass. You're no longer willing to dilute yourself for temporary peace. The energy you once spent on molding yourself is being reclaimed. You start asking different questions, not how can I be chosen, but why did I ever believe I wasn't? This is the turn. The moment the pretending ends. The moment you recognize that the peace, the love, the recognition you sought outside were always native to your being. They were not prizes to be earned. They were reflections of alignment. And alignment can't be chased. It can only be allowed. If you're here, it means something in you has already begun the return. You're not searching anymore. You're remembering that your value was never up for debate, that your presence is not a negotiation, that the deepest magnetism comes from being unapologetically whole. And now, instead of reaching for what isn't yours, you're calling in what's always been waiting for your arrival. You are not the chaser. You are the source. You are not here to blend in. You're here to transmit. And that transmission doesn't come from perfection or from mimicking what's popular. It comes from truth, the real kind. The kind that doesn't shift depending on who's watching. The kind that lives in your bones. In a world that constantly demands you polish, filter, and perform, your power lives in the exact opposite, being fully, completely, unmistakably you. Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of God fill your hearts today. I come to remind you of a profound truth. Our lives are firmly established in God's divine purpose, untouched by the fleeting worries of this world. As Scripture tells us, give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. Luke 6:38. Like the mighty oak whose roots are planted deep in rich soil, our foundation is anchored in God's eternal truth. Every move we make, every stand we take, is upheld by His enduring strength. Today, you have the opportunity to participate in this divine blessing. By clicking the Super Thank You button and offering a gift of $50, you will sow into a harvest that will return to you many times over in God's abundant grace. There's a subtle strength in no longer molding yourself to match the room, in no longer trimming your truth just to keep the peace. That strength is what sets the chosen ones apart. Not louder voices or flashier displays, but an energy so grounded in self-knowing that it recalibrates every space it enters. You're not chasing attention, you're embodying alignment. And when that happens, people feel it, even if they can't name it. Authenticity doesn't require grand gestures. It's not about bearing every thought or always speaking first. It's about congruence, your outer life finally reflecting what your inner world has known all along. It's the decision to value your peace over approval, to walk away from what only ever wanted your performance and never saw your essence. Some won't understand. Some will pull back. When you drop the performance, you drop the crowd that needed the costume. That's not loss. It's clarity. The space that opens when you stop pretending becomes sacred. In that clearing, the right people find you, not because you persuaded them, but because you finally stopped hiding. Authenticity doesn't chase, it calls. It draws towards you everything that belongs, and everything false naturally fades. You've probably lived years layered in adaptations. One version for family, another for work, another to survive the expectations that never quite matched your truth. But now the mask feels too heavy, the layers too loud. You're no longer willing to wear what doesn't fit. The life that matches your soul won't be found through strategy. It will be found through sincerity. The path forward is rooted in realness. And that doesn't mean you never question or stumble. It means you don't fake it when you do. You don't hide your humanity to maintain an image. Ironically, the more honest you are, even about your mess, the more others trust your presence. Because people don't lean into perfection, they lean into resonance. And resonance only happens when you're being real. This is where your power activates, not when you try harder, but when you stop performing. When you breathe and just be. In that space, the universe stops needing proof. It starts responding to your signal. And the signal? It's your frequency. Undiluted, unmasked, unapologetically yours. When you stand in that truth, things shift. Not because you push them, but because your stillness speaks louder than effort ever could. And in that stillness, everything meant for you can finally hear you. There's a unique kind of loneliness that forms when you've spent too long shaping yourself into something you're not, just to feel safe in rooms that were never built to hold your fullness. You were born with a depth that couldn't stay on the surface, a sensitivity that saw beyond what others ignored, and a knowing that made others uncomfortable. And because the world didn't know what to do with that, you started editing. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. You learn to read the room, soften your voice, sidestep your brilliance so others wouldn't feel small. You laughed when something wasn't funny. You nodded when your soul wanted to resist. Over time, these tiny compromises turned into a role you knew by heart. You didn't become someone else. You just started hiding the most important parts of yourself. Not because you were fake, but because safety was more important than honesty. But even survival has its limits. And eventually, something inside you started to ache. Not from being unseen by others, but from not recognizing yourself. You gave what they wanted, said what they liked, became who they accepted. And still, something always felt missing. Because you were missing. The most painful part wasn't rejection. It was how often you rejected your own truth just to avoid being left. That constant internal adjusting left you empty, like an actor trapped in an endless scene, terrified the script might end and someone might see who's behind the role. And the deepest fear wasn't being abandoned, it was being exposed. But now, the illusion is cracking, and in its collapse comes clarity. If they were drawn to your performance, they were never really with you. They were orbiting the version you curated, and that version, while impressive, was never real. And when the act fades, so will those who were only present for the show. Let them fade. What stays, what arrives, will be something different. It will meet you in your rawness, not your rehearsal. It will hold space for your silence, not just your smile. It will welcome your honesty without shrinking from it. These are the connections you deserve, the ones built on recognition, not reward. You don't need to dilute yourself to be loved. You don't have to compromise your clarity just to feel chosen. Your presence is not something to negotiate. You are not a role to be played. You are a frequency to be felt. And yes, choosing to be real might feel like a loss at first. But what you're losing isn't love. It's illusion. What you're releasing isn't support. It's control. And what you're walking toward is something much richer. A life that holds you as you are, not as you've been trained to be. Your presence, in its rawest form, is more powerful than any polished version you've ever performed. Let it lead now. Let it speak without apology. Let it be the filter. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. Just exist as the truth you are, and watch what finally begins to align. You are not here to chase noise. You are here to hold frequency. And there's something unmistakably powerful about the one who doesn't rush, doesn't grasp, doesn't force. While the world spins in urgency, while others scatter in search of something to prove, you begin to realize your strength lives not in the scramble, but in the stillness. Stillness is not passive. It's not the absence of movement. It's the presence of alignment. It's the moment you drop the panic, return to center, and decide you don't need to beg life for what already knows your name. There's a shift that happens when you stop moving out of fear and begin standing in certainty. You're not stuck. You're anchoring. You're not delayed. You're being refined. This stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what matters without rushing to earn what's already aligned with your essence. It's the quiet power that comes when you no longer feel the need to convince, pursue, or prove. You begin to listen more closely, not to the noise of expectation, but to the guidance only heard in calm. When you stop engaging in the frenzy, your presence starts to speak louder than your words ever could. Your focus deepens. Your energy sharpens. You begin to operate not from urgency, but from clarity. In that space, you become a magnet, not because you're pulling things toward you, but because you've made space for them to find you. Stillness becomes your signal, a declaration without sound, and it calls in what was meant to meet you. Not because you reached, but because you remembered. You're not waiting in fear. You're preparing in confidence. You're clearing the noise so the right things can locate you without confusion. There's no panic in your posture now, no proving in your energy, just the quiet confirmation that you're ready. You're no longer performing effort as worthiness. You're showing up aligned, grounded, whole. And people notice, not because you demand their attention, but because something in you has shifted from seeking to receiving. Let others race. Let them exhaust themselves in the name of arrival. You move differently now. You don't run after what's misaligned. You don't entertain what doesn't resonate. What belongs will find you, not through force, but through resonance. And when it does, it won't be chaos. It will be clarity. You'll recognize it because you've created the space within yourself to hold it. That's the truth of stillness. It's not about waiting. It's about becoming the kind of presence that no longer has to chase. You are not meant to be everything to everyone, and the freedom in accepting that is immeasurable. When you finally stop reaching for wide approval, something powerful happens. You begin to choose with intention, no longer pulled by the desire to be liked, noticed, or validated by many. You begin tuning into something higher, resonance. Not everyone is supposed to walk beside you, and not every connection, opportunity, or invitation is sacred. Discernment becomes your compass, not to judge, but to protect what's real. As you grow, your lens sharpens. You no longer confuse availability with alignment. You no longer say yes because you feel guilty or afraid of being misunderstood. You begin to feel the energetic texture of everything and everyone, how it lands in your body, how it echoes in your intuition. Some doors look golden but lead to emptiness. Some people speak kindly but move in misalignment. And now, instead of chasing approval, you listen deeper. Does this nourish me? Does this elevate my path? Does it feel like truth? This shift changes everything. You stop settling for surface. You stop measuring your worth by quantity of friends, followers, offers. You start craving what mirrors your soul. You learn to release what no longer feels like home, even if it once did. And in that letting go, you make room for something better, what truly matches your frequency. Yes, the crowd may thin, the room may feel quieter, but peace becomes the loudest thing in your life. And in that peace, clarity blooms. You begin to attract relationships that don't require performance, places that don't ask you to shrink, and moments that feel like confirmation. The emptiness fades, not because you filled it with noise, but because you replaced it with meaning. You start asking better questions, not, do they approve of me? But can they meet me here? Not, will this make me look successful? But does this align with my core values? You stop needing constant applause and start craving real presence. You don't want fans, you want soul matches. People who walk with you, not just watch you. People who recognize your frequency without needing to be convinced. Don't just watch, be part of the journey. Hit subscribe now and step into your purpose. The best is yet to come. This is refinement, not loss, not failure, not isolation. It is sacred narrowing. It's the path becoming clearer, the noise falling away, the distractions dissolving. And in that narrowing, everything that matters steps forward. Not many, but enough. Not loud, but deep. Not frequent, but aligned. Now is the moment to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. With a donation of $100 or more, you can actively participate in His divine mission and contribute to His greater plan. Every offering you make reflects the boundless generosity of God, and I trust it will return to you abundantly, far exceeding your hopes. Always remember, His protection and blessing accompany your every step and every act of giving. You are a vital part of His sacred design. You are strong and radiant, steadfast like His mighty rock. Experience God's miracles, feel the rewards of your generosity deep within your soul, and shine your light with boldness and faith. May you be richly blessed, and may the light of the Lord continually guide your journey. Let your energy choose for you now. Let your spirit do the sorting. You're not here to gather masses, you're here to gather meaning. You don't need everyone, you just need truth, and those who can hold it. Alignment over everything, always. There's something remarkable about you. Not the curated version, not the version shaped to keep others comfortable, but the unfiltered, evolving, honest expression that lives beneath all the roles you've ever played. That version, that's the one life is looking for. The path opens not for the edited self, but for the one who's done pretending. Not when you're polished, perfect, or strategic, but when you're real. Every time you soften your truth to avoid discomfort, you unknowingly close the door on what was truly meant for you. But when you return to center, when you stop modifying your essence just to be more palatable, you begin to shift everything. You start calling in the connections that don't require effort, the roles that feel like home, the relationships that challenge and nourish, not confuse and drain. And the beauty is, you no longer have to chase. What you once reached for begins reaching for you, not because you worked harder, but because you aligned deeper. You stop trying to prove and begin to express. And what flows from expression is magnetism. Not the kind that's loud or flashy, but the kind that hums with truth. People feel it. So does purpose, so does provision. This isn't about being fearless, it's about being honest. When your energy comes from fullness rather than seeking, your presence becomes the signal, not the search. And that signal, it speaks for you. It guides the right doors to open, the right people to stay, the right timing to unfold. Your truth does the attracting now, and what doesn't resonate simply falls away without conflict. You are no longer looking to be chosen. You're choosing yourself, fully, without performance. And in that choice, the current shifts, not subtly, permanently. You were never designed to be the one chasing everything that was already meant to find you. The shift was never about becoming something new. It was always about uncovering who you already are underneath the pressure, the edits, the performance. That's the version the universe responds to. That's the frequency that activates destiny. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. You don't need to convince anyone of your value. You don't need to squeeze into rooms that require you to abandon your truth. The moment you start living from your center, your very presence begins to align the field. You become a mirror, reflecting truth without forcing it, drawing forward what matches your essence without needing to pursue it. What you once believed you had to chase, success, love, clarity, peace, was never waiting ahead of you. It was waiting within you. And when you embody it, the need to grasp disappears. You're no longer reaching outward. You're rooted inward. You become a living invitation for what's real to find you. And it does, with ease, with clarity, with timing that doesn't feel rushed or delayed, but divinely aligned. Because here's the truth. You are the center of gravity now. not from ego, but from embodiment. When you walk in your truth, without apology or adjustment, you start bending time. Things begin arriving without effort, not because you're doing more, but because you're being more you. You don't need everyone. You don't need everything. You only need alignment. And that begins the moment you stop seeking and start standing, fully, clearly, unshaken. You are the magnet, and your presence is enough to shift the room, even if you never say a word.